Picture this. You finished your first book and nailed it. The plot, the characters, all the twists and turns. This one's a winner, and all you need is the right cover. If you've got my art skills, this is the part where panic usually sets in. Enter the cover villain, hero to writers everywhere. Founded by noted author Remy Flagg, Cover Villain focuses on composite image covers for science fiction and fantasy writers. Give them the details, and they'll craft a cover using popular trends that everyone will want to see. But wait, you say, I've got ideas of my own. No problem, as Cover Villain loves a good collaboration. As they say, our goal is to put a little villain in every cover we make. Want to know more? Then head to covervillain.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Hey everyone, welcome back to Citywide Blackout, your home for music, movies, and more. I'm your host, Max Bowen. In this episode, I'm talking with performing artist Blake English for his new EP, Spiders Make Great Poets, one of the coolest album names I've heard in a very long time. Now, this EP does a deep dive into Blake's background, going back to his childhood when he sought a safe space to be himself. Now, he's doing really well in LA today, where he recently completed his horror-themed music video for Sad Girls Dance Party. I loved watching this. You should all check it out. It is an amazing video. We also talk about his background and how it's shaped him, as well as the different places life has taken him. As a hint, LA was not to be his original destination. And my next guest, well, guys, there's so much to talk about with this guy. He has a new music video out. He has a new album out. Spiders Make Great Poets, the coolest name for an album I've ever come across. Blake English joins me all the way from L.A. Sir, welcome to the show. It is so cool to be talking to you.
Oh, it's great to meet you and talk to you as well. This is awesome.
Let's open things up by talking about your new music video for your single "Sad Girls Dance Party," which an amazing song, folks. Definitely check it out. This is all on the Spiders Make Great Poets album. But this video is more like a movie. It's about like 7.5 minutes long, which is kind of long for a music video, but it tells a really cool story through the lens of the darkest horror I've seen in a while. Did you write this whole thing? Did you like storyboard the entire thing?
Yeah. So a little backstory. So first of all, the song itself deals with a lot of my childhood and how I created this like safe space in my basement, basically, like as a 10-year-old to get away from, my own like personal reality of horrors, which was just like reality. It was like school and, growing up in the South and trying to be creative and, all of that stuff where I really didn't feel like I could be myself. And so I went down in my basement one day and I, wrapped a mattress and Christmas tree lights and set up a fog machine and all sorts of things like that. And so that's essentially where the song comes from, Sad Girls Dance Party, which then inspired the music video. And whenever I write a song, I always think in visual purposes anyways. So there's always this combo that's going on in my head. As I'm writing the song, I'm thinking of the visuals and all of that stuff. So yeah, long story short, I did storyboard it. I wrote the whole thing, and I told myself when I was doing this that if I didn't get the opportunity to do it the way that I wanted to, the way that I saw it, which was in like this movie sense, right? Then I wasn't going to do it. So I had to wait for the right opportunity to come along for, an independent artist. As you saw, it's quite, it is like a movie. It was made that way because movies, especially horror movies, are extremely inspiring to me. And even when I was a kid, my grandparents used to let me watch like the worst things ever. Like, I mean, just horrible. I would go to the movie store every Friday night and they would let me rent the worst of the worst horror movies possible. But I loved them so much, especially like creature features. I have like a big place in my heart for creature features. when I created the video, I wanted the creature aspect to be a huge part of the video, which you saw, and they're all over. So yeah, I did the whole thing. I found the right opportunity to be the right team to work with to make it happen, and we did it. It was a crazy thing that we were able to accomplish, but we did it, and now it's finally out. And it's like, oh my gosh, it is like birthing a child almost. It's like I've had this thing and been in labor for so long and like waiting for the right opportunity to do it, and like finally it's like, well, there it is. There goes my child.
Yeah. Out in the world to be judged and critiqued and so forth. What has been the response to it, though?
Everyone has really loved it. The only thing that I didn't anticipate is there are some people out there that are vehemently opposed to horror, which I guess because I'm just constantly around like horror lovers that I don't realize that those people exist. But there are actual people who just want nothing to do with it. There are some people that can't even get through the intro of the video with like the spider coming out of my mouth and everything.
Jeez, that's...
You know, there are some people that can't even make it through that, so they don't even get to the song portion. They're like, nope, turn off.
When I saw that, I was just like, God, jeez, okay, we'll keep watching.
In classic horror movie form, right, you have to start off with like the introduction has to be a bang.
Exactly,
right?
yes.
The eye catcher. And that's what I wanted this to be. I wanted that to be that moment, which to me is my favorite part of the video. It was my favorite part to film. I was sitting in that bathtub for 7 hours. We had it's not like a CGI'd spider. It's an actual like prosthetic that we got to like sit in the back of my throat. And then there were these green rods attached to the legs where each person had like a leg and they would like move it as it was like coming out of my mouth. So
God, jeez. But
it was awesome. It was awesome.
That is such dedication. That is trooper level dedication to horror, sir. That is amazing stuff.
I love it so much. I have a blast doing it. And so it seemed only appropriate for that to be the way we do things in the Blake English camp.
Well, if anyone from Shudder is listening to this podcast, get this guy on the set, get him behind a camera, have him make some movies, because damn, dude.
Actually, it's funny you talk about that. So I have I work with a production company called 2C's Media, and they're the guys who actually helped me produce the music video as well. They're some of my closest friends and creative partners. And we work on short films as well, short films and feature films. And some of the things that we've been working on are actually some horror shorts that we want to actually pitch to Shudder and try and actually get made through their platform. So we'll see how that goes.
Please do. Now, I want to also ask about your co-writer and co-director for this movie. Hao Chang, you work with him on this one. Yes. How did you meet them, and what was the process like working together?
So I have two of my closest friends. They weren't my closest friends at the time. We actually were just getting to know each other. They worked for the company 2C's Media. Well, the owner of the company, Hao Chang, he's also a creative director there, and he loves and is super inspired by very, very cinematic things. And I met him through my two friends. And one day me and him just go to lunch, and we're like creatively like going back and forth with each other, talking about different things that we want to see, have happen. I played him some of my music. I explained to him what I wanted to do with it. And immediately then and there, he was like, we have to do this. We have to create this. And so me and him, we worked, so many hours to, just plan out everything. Because at the time, he was more technically knowledgeable about like the production end of filmmaking, as opposed to me, where I'm just like the loosey-goosey creative, and I think nothing costs anything, and I just want to do it all. So we really had to come together. I had to learn more on the production end about what was actually like tangible and could be created. But he was such a trooper in me basically saying, I want to have a like prosthetic spider come out of my mouth, and I only want to do it practically. I don't want to have it be green screened or anything like that. And he goes, I love that. We're going to make it happen. And so we did. And he was really, really great about really trying to see my vision through to the end, as well as constantly checking me on, things with the storyline, like, oh, well, how does that make sense? What does that mean? How does that feed through to the end? Like, we really tried to create it as if it were like an actual story arc, as opposed to it being, a music video with a bunch of visuals that loosely tie together. We wanted everything to have a purpose and a true beginning, middle, and end, just like a story.
This story is like you in your youth, trying to basically escape from the horrors of life, and the kid who basically plays the young Blake.
Yeah.
He was so into this thing. You could tell he was just like so enjoying the process because he was just getting right into every part of it. I mean, both the good and the bad.
He was fantastic to work with. In fact, everybody that was a part of the cast was fantastic to work with. Super, super talented. The kid's name is Lucas. And I remember when we first met, because we did a casting call for it, and me and him met, and I met his parents, and we just clicked immediately, and we're like, yeah, this is right. This is what it's supposed to be. So he was really, really awesome to work with.
Mm-hmm. Now, this next thing I want to talk about, but I would like to ask about your own life growing up. Reading everything about you, it doesn't sound like it was entirely a fun experience. Could you tell me about some of the challenges, especially as you decide to get more into art?
Right. When it comes to the actual songwriting process, I'm kind of unapologetically honest, which my parents love and hate me for, right? Because, they know me so well by now. Obviously, they're my parents, and they appreciate that side of me. But at the same time, like, I had to introduce these songs gradually. But my whole, like, idea of that was, well, I had to experience it, so you get to have it listen back to, so in terms of my, like, growing up space, I think everybody has problems with their family at some point. I don't think anybody has the perfect growing up situation. And especially as I have, grown up and had to come to terms with some of this stuff, I've definitely gotten better from it in terms of, and I'll get into what that is in just a second. In terms of the actual songwriting process, I do want to say, though, the songwriting process is a super, like, cathartic experience to me. It's like I can take these stories, these little vignettes of stories, whether it be from a phrase or an entire song, I can put them there, and it's almost like it then lives in the song. It doesn't live inside me anymore. It's like I get to, like, compartmentalize it into, melody and lyrics, and then it lives in that space. And it's just a very, like, freeing experience for me when it comes, which, by the way, was like my own version of therapy, to deal with a lot of the things that I was having, like, just sit inside my head and my body and trying to figure out, how do I deal with all this stuff and move forward as a person and grow? Putting it into a song was actually a very, like, therapeutic method for me. When it comes to actually, like, what I grew up with, I grew up in the South. I went to a private Christian school where I had, like, a graduating class of 12 people. I was with those 12 people, give or take a few, from second grade to 12th grade. That was a really hard experience for me because I was this kid that, was creative and, whatever, like, artistic. And I had to go and be a part of these people that just I did not relate to at all. I can remember back in third grade, interestingly enough, third grade, they asked us what our favorite movies were. And at the time, my favorite movies were The Witches and Little Shop of Horrors. That caused a phone call to my parents. And, what are we going to do about Blake? He's watching this, dark stuff. Like, we don't know what to do with him. And I wasn't a bad kid. I also wasn't disobedient. I just liked kind of weird, dark things. yeah, I had a hard time with that. I had a hard time with my family dynamic was very interesting. Me and my dad are fine now, but my dad is this like camo wearing, gun toting, like country guy. And I am not any of those things unless I am doing it for stylistic purposes. And I'm talking about the camo there, and that's it. Me and him butted heads a lot, and we did not agree on a lot of things. He did not understand me. I did not understand him. And so it caused a lot of friction, caused a lot of problems with mine and my mom's relationship because there was friction between me and my dad. There were issues within the family that just would always come up. And that's another thing that I really wanted to express with Sad Girls Dance Party. I feel like I made my dad out to be a villain in the story. At the time, that's how I saw him. I saw him as the villain. I don't anymore. Like I said, me and him have talked about a lot of things, and tried to really work on our relationship. Son and father, but it was rough as a child for sure. Growing up, I was also gay. I didn't know it, but at the time, I was. And so that caused, issues too. So all of that gets expressed in songs throughout the EP, Spiders Make Great Poets.
When you told them that you wanted to pursue music, what was their reaction?
Oh, interestingly enough, this is going to blow your mind. They loved it.
Really? I am surprised. I would expect...
They were the biggest... So I started off doing musical theater.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to doing musical theater, I had nothing that I enjoyed doing. And so my parents, they wanted me so bad to find that thing that I was passionate about. So as soon as I got into musical theater, and I got heavily into dance as well, they were on board like 100%. I mean, my dad turned into a stage dad. Like he would build sets for shows. He would go to the competitions and like score out everything, to see like who's going to win, who's going to win overall or whatever. And my mom was the same way. They were just so excited that I had found something that I was passionate about and something that I loved doing, which really, it wasn't really that I had to have the conversation about I want to be a musician. It was more I want to be a performer in, multiple things. When people ask me what I am, I generally wouldn't say that I'm a musician. I would say I'm a performance artist. That's what I do. I utilize different artistic mediums with my body and my performance, and to, get points or morals or whatever across. I like to perform. That's what I enjoy the most, which is actually why it's so hard to release this stuff during COVID, because I can't perform live.
I hope to one day see one of your live shows. I hope to attend one of them because I imagine it is a complete, just, wall buster of an event.
It's a show. I already have the entire live show planned out. It is an event. That's what I want it to be. So.
Yeah. Did COVID derail like a lot of plans for you? Did you have any kind of shows lined up that you had to just scrap?
Actually, it was the pandemic that inspired me to release this stuff. I had been sitting on this stuff for a while, just not really ready to like release it out into the wild yet. And it was the first month of COVID that I was like, basically I had this concept that it's going to be artists and entertainers that help people get through this crazy thing that we're all experiencing. And my job as a performer is to, take people out of their like reality and bring them into a fantasy and give them that break, right? Give them that little break from craziness and actual reality, and really, I don't know, try to do something for society. That's what I've come to the conclusion of is my gift as an artist, as a performer, is to give people the gift of a feeling, right? I get to make them feel something, and my content was ready to go. So I was like, all right, now's the time. This feels right.
And definitely feelings, I think, would be a good summation for what you're putting out there, especially with songs like Neighbors. I mean,
yeah.
I was like, whoa, that's some intensity there.
So I'll say this about the Neighbors because my mom and sister would both like for me to say this. Some things are based in reality in the Neighbors, and others are based in fantasy, aka my sister has never done meth before. I really, when I was forming that song, I formed it. It is the most like show type song, right? It's the most like theatrical theater. It's got multiple like changes. And I wanted to build it with the idea of taking from my own life, my own experiences, but also experiences of the friends around me. And growing up the South and the Midwest, obviously, like we've got our things that we like to like push under the table and pretend doesn't exist. And that's really what I wanted to explore within that song. It really was about me combining my own experiences and other people's experiences into this one little family and just make it chaotic. So, yeah, my sister doesn't do meth and hasn't ever.
she's she's like listening to that song and thinking, what the crap, Blake?
Oh, it's funny. They both, my sister and my mom, they joke about it. When they heard the song, they were like, that was brilliant. But what are people going to think? I was like, I promise I will make it a point to tell everyone that this isn't an accurate representation of y'all.
Disclaimer somewhere like on the CD cover. Not everything depicted here actually happened.
Yeah, really. I should probably do that. I mean, there is a piece in all of these songs that is based in the dramatics of theater, you know? So I'm not as angry as I depict in a lot of these songs. I would say everything gets taken to an extreme and everything gets turned up. I mean, I suppose there have been moments where I've felt these things before. I mean, there have been for sure. But I'm not generally a very angry person, but I guess that gets put into my song. So maybe it is somewhere inside me. I'm not sure. I'll get back to you on that one.
Right. Well, I think that's the thing about creating art is you learn something about yourself in the process. You might discover a side of yourself that you didn't really know before. Like a lot
Absolutely.
of folks say when they create their album, they say, wow, this, like I just explored all these parts of my psyche that I never had before. And it was such a unique experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, to build off of that, I think this particular EP has to do with the anger from my childhood, which I'm sure I experience in certain ways and it comes out in certain ways, but this really was focused on childhood trauma.
Does that still bother you now?
It could if I let it. I try not to let it too much because the majority of the issues that are within these songs are things that I have had conversations about with the people that I was having issues with, have come to a place of resolution with a lot of these things. And so I don't think our past ever can go away, but I think we can like view it through a different lens. And that's what I guess I try to do is view it through a lens of, it's like, even because my mom sometimes I know definitely listens to my stuff and takes on a huge sense of guilt because she feels like she did all of these things. And she was a great mom. I love my mother like so much, but she takes on that guilt. And I have to remind her, I'm like, Mom, this stuff like happened. It's in the past. I don't feel this anymore. But if anything, it gave me songs to write. Like it gave me a perspective to write about. It gave me a thing that I get to relate to people on. So now I look at it as like, I'm grateful for the experiences because this stuff wouldn't exist. This stuff that I'm proud of now, my art, my work, the things that I like actually take pride in, they wouldn't exist in the same way. So yeah, I'm grateful for my experiences.
Now, you are originally from Athens, Georgia, and now you're in L.A. Yep. How did that move happen, and how has it gone for you to be in California?
So Athens was, I don't know if you know anything about Athens, but Athens is like this little liberal bubble amongst like a huge conservative conglomerate, right? It's a college town. It's a music town. REM is from there. A band called Of Montreal is from there. The B-52s are from there. You know, it has its roots in music. And I grew up around that stuff. And so ultimately, I think I really was supposed to be a performer. I don't think there was any other option. When it came to moving to California, I was training to go to New York and do Broadway. My actual true like God-given talent, strength, whatever you want to call it, is in musical theater. That's where like my voice sits, my performance sits, everything is built into musical theater. So I was training to go to New York. I was doing professional regional theater. You know, I was doing all of the things to go to New York, and something in me kept saying, you should go to LA. You should go to LA. And I just wanted to go to LA. I've never really been one to ignore my little inner voice inside me, as spontaneous as it may be sometimes. And I had moved to Cincinnati for a year to dance with a professional company up there called Exhale Dance Tribe. And then I moved back to Georgia for like 3 months. And in that 3 months, I decided I was going to move to LA. Came out here. I had never been here before. And somehow I just knew that I was supposed to be out here. And I'm still here. So I guess that little voice was right. The move was all right. I had already moved away from home prior to that, so I didn't deal too much with homesickness. But, I mean, first of all, LA is a dirty city. It is not pretty. It is not pretty at all. New York is much prettier. In terms of the grandeur of it all, right? The you get into the big city and there are skyscrapers and, you know, it's just gorgeous. Here, it is dirty. It's spread out. There's not a lot to see here, in my opinion. However, I fell into one of the most wonderful and accepting community of people and friends and artists that it has been the reason why I have stayed here, you know, this long, because I just love the people here. I love the diversity. I love the opportunities. I love the people, the support system that I have. I mean, I know a lot of people have their own experiences with not really finding their tribe in Los Angeles, but I was lucky enough where I got to find mine, and I found one, and it's been great. I mean, they are my chosen family, and I don't know that I could ever leave them. I really don't. I'm not sure. I guess if I booked a Broadway show, maybe. We'll see. One day, maybe.
Yeah, maybe like next year we can look at that.
It's funny. I was auditioning in November for a bunch of Broadway things. My agent and manager both have been trying to really heavily push me into Broadway, and I finally have been like, okay, cool, let's do it. And so, like, I was auditioning for Dear Evan Hansen. I was auditioning for Wicked. Got really close with Dear Evan Hansen. Thankfully, that didn't work out, because if it had, I would have moved to New York, and then a month later, everything getting shut down. So,
all meant to happen, man. It's all meant to happen.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, prior to us recording, you had mentioned that you were actually calling me from yet another music video set.
Yes!
You're working on a new project. I want to hear all about it.
So I have a song coming out October 9th, which you're the first person to know about that, by the way. I haven't even announced that on social media. So I have a new song coming out October 9th called Cool. And I wrote it basically about my experiences in LA and being around all of these like juggernauts in the industry and trying to fit in and trying to do all of these like things that essentially I thought made me cool. And just kind of like how annoying it is. So the chorus of the song, the lyrics are, I just want to be cool like all my friends. It really is just about that. So I'm actually on a music video set right now for that music video. Interestingly, I'm doing this interview in the middle of a music video shoot. So there we are.
There you go, man. Will this also have a horror theme to it?
It's going to have a Halloween theme.
Oh, cool.
it will be coming out in October.
Very cool,
Yeah.
man. I cannot wait to see it.
Yeah, it'll be Halloween themed. The song itself is not as intense or horror themed. It's actually a pop song more than it is a punk song, which my last EP was mostly punk music. This is a pop song, but there's a reason for it as well. It again feeds into this idea of doing things to fit in as opposed to like doing what feels like right or natural or normal or feels good, that feeds your soul. The song itself has so many levels to it in terms of just like what it is that I'm trying to say about trying to be cool, I guess. Like what makes you cool.
Now, when it comes to being among the juggernauts of LA, among the big names and so forth, how do you make yourself stand out? How do you make yourself a presence where you're still kind of relatively new in the area? Oh dear.
I mean, it's always a puzzle. I always stand by the idea that if you're nice and you're easy to work with and you're passionate, you will get somewhere. The other side of that are like the dangers of it, which is, you could be taken advantage of. You'll fall into things that you may not necessarily hold true to yourself. So I think it really is finding that balance of, being open and kind and nice, but also sticking to your guns and, being firm in what you believe and what you will and won't do to be friends with any of these people. But ultimately, I mean, like I said, I have a really good friend base out here, a really, really good support system. So it never feels like there are many stakes involved with going and, let's say, like I hang out with some, famous person or big songwriter. There aren't too many stakes involved with that because at the end of the day, I come home and I've got a great support system and great friends that make me feel good about, who I am. We're all working in the industry and all doing our thing. And, if someone doesn't vibe with me, then, oh, well, the next person will, hopefully, I guess.
How does it feel to have the album out there? It's been released, people are hearing it, you're getting the feedback. How does it feel to have basically, like you said, have your child out in the world?
So when it first was out there, it was like this really weird experience. And now I feel like my child turned 18 and I kicked it out of the nest. I mean, really, I have this weird thing with things that I create where like they get support from me for a little bit. And then it's like, you guys are on your own. We're moving on to the next child. Sorry. So, I mean, I'm happy with it, finally being out there. I felt like it was like the cork that needed to be popped off the champagne bottle for things to actually like flow out and honestly force me into a position where I had to create more, to put more out there, to, I was kind of stagnant as I had this finished product, but wasn't putting it out. I like had it for myself. So it was a good starting point. But like I said, the kid's turned 18. He's out the door. It's time to usher in the new one.
The kid's out there. You change the locks. You turn the room into a greenhouse. You move on to the next one.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome parenting, by the way. It's some great parenting advice.
I don't know if you should lock your kids out. I'm not sure if that's good parenting.
Hey, sooner or later they got to go on their own. Do their own thing. You can't.
True. You gotta let them. You gotta let them. Spread their own wings.
Do you worry about like criticism about someone listening to your album and saying, "Wow, this was terrible"?
I mean, honestly, I have been through so much that I'm pretty numb to that stuff. It would take a lot to get to me. Now, I take certain people's opinions very seriously when it comes to my art, but those people are never people that are going to criticize it anyways. They're going to essentially offer, I guess, constructive criticism if they feel that. Generally, honestly, the criticism that I hear more than anything from the people's opinions that I actually care about is if it's not true to me, if it doesn't feel genuine, which I accept wholeheartedly. Because most of the time, when it's not true to me and not genuine, I know it. So they're just telling me something I already know. And when I see them picking up on what I know to be true, but am kind of ignoring it, that's when I'm like, okay, we need to adjust some things. Other than that, you know, I don't know. My whole concept now with social media in general, which, is primarily where criticism would come from, anyways, is that it's like not an accurate representation of real life at all. Like it's its own little simulation that I think needs to be separated from actual reality in everyone's heads. But unfortunately, it gets mixed, and that's where a lot of problems come from. Like, for instance, I deleted Twitter off of my phone because it was not doing me any good for my mental health at the time. And I'm sure I'll get it back at some point. But right now, I'm just like, yeah, it wasn't good for me. There's too much negativity on there. And while there's this argument of, oh, well, you're lucky that you don't have to focus on the negativity. Well, no, I actually do. I just don't believe that us being in a huge negativity hurricane is going to help anything. That's just my opinion. I tend to like to come from hope and inspiration as opposed to negativity and, anger and, just saying nasty things.
You're obviously very open about your life and the things that you've been through. Did it take a while to get to the point where you were feeling able to be that open, or were you always that way?
I have an unfortunate tick where I cannot lie. It's very unfortunate. And when I try, it is so obvious. It is obvious to me. It is obvious to the person that I'm lying to. And I feel like there's this unspoken conversation that goes on that says, I'm lying. I know I'm lying. And therefore, I'm not going to lie because that's silly. I'm not a good liar. I never have been. My mom's the same way. It just reads all over our face when we're not being truthful or genuine. Luckily, that feeds into my art, that feeds into everything that I do. It allows me the freedom and honestly forces me to be honest about these things. And also, on that note, some of my favorite, and most inspirational artists, teachers, whatever you want to call them, are exactly that because they are so honest. And I learned that at a very young age because I fell in love with people. I mean, I'm a fangirl. I really am. When it comes to like other artists that inspire me, I am such a fan. What I just learned from them is that it's not always about how good the voice is or how able-bodied the dancer is or, how much the actor can make you cry or whatever. It's more about how honest they are and how genuine they are in whatever it is that they're doing or portraying to the audience. It's the difference between, someone who is technically amazing at singing and someone who knows how to communicate a story. And I think the best artists are also the best communicators. They know how to communicate. And, I try to follow in those footsteps.
You definitely have your shit together. You definitely do, both I think as a career and as a person. And that's very impressive, especially with everything that you've been through. I could definitely see you being just a total wreck. But you've taken those experiences and you've made them into something amazing here. The music video, your songs, your life and your career. It's very impressive. What advice do you think you would have for a young you, for someone who's going through your experiences?
I think it really comes down to exactly what I was just talking about. It comes down to being honest. It comes down to being genuine, and also accepting that part of yourself that is honest and genuine. That was one of the things with me. I knew for a very long time what was true to me, what felt right. but I denied those things because I was trying to be like, Joe Schmo over here or whatever, and wasn't very good at that either. And really, when I started falling into being a better artist, which also comes from being a better human, I think, is when I really started telling the truth. And it's really when I started being genuine. And I think that's the key. Like, if there was anything that I could like give the gift of to other people, other artists, it would be to just find that place of honesty, that place of like what is genuinely moving you, and go with that and don't doubt it. It's so easy for us to weigh like what is honest to us versus what's honest to this person over here, and why is this person successful versus this person over here. And when you measure success by the amount of streams that you get or the amount of money that you make, there's just no satisfaction in it. There really isn't. It's temporary. I think some of the most amazing artists that I know and adore are people that are not that well known and don't make a lot of money. And it's just because they're happy with themselves too, right? And that's inspiring. That's hugely inspiring. Yeah, I don't know. Just be honest, be genuine, be yourself. That sounds so cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason, because it's true.
Well said. Well said. Well, Blake, this has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed talking to you. And for the folks at home, you go to blakeenglishworld.com. Gives you all the information. Check out Spiders Make Great Poets. It's an amazing collection of music. Check out the video for Sad Girls Dance Party. And then later on in October, new stuff coming. Blake?
Yep.
Thanks again, man.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to you.
Hey everyone, Max Bowen here. If you're a longtime listener of the show, you know how much I love Comixology. This is the best place to go for digital comics from every company out there, from the big two to independent creator-owned titles. Well, folks, the big news is that they are hitting the presses. In the spring of 2021, they'll be teaming up with Dark Horse Comics, publisher of titles such as Black Hammer, Hellboy, and Sin City, my personal favorite, to distribute print editions of Comixology originals, graphic novels, and collections. This is going to include the Eisner Award winner Afterlift, along with Breaklands, Youth, and The Black Ghost. I have read most of these titles. They are amazing. I cannot wait to add them to my bookshelf. Now, these will be available in comic shops, bookstores, and libraries, and more will be announced in the weeks and months to come. But if you want all the updates, go to ComixologyOriginals.com and follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
All right, folks, that is going to do it for this episode. You can follow the show on Facebook under Citywide Blackout, and on Twitter and Instagram under Citywide Max, and check out citywideblackout.blogspot.com. Listen to the show on Podbean, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and every Saturday at 10 p.m. on Boston Free Radio. To close things out, I've got two songs from Blake's new EP, Sad Girls Dance Party, followed by The Neighbors. As always, keep those ears open.
Sympathize, apology. trees, while all the cool kids drink for one night flings. These stranger things happen to all the good, misunderstood. I'm still alone, but not lonely on my own. Neon lights under the table, fog machines are telling fables. I am dancing alone, and I can keep on dancing alone. So I'll just Christmas tree, a dirty mattress, techno beats are awful blasting. I am dancing alone, and I can keep on dancing alone. 'Cause I am just a freak in this fucked up scene, this sad girl's dance party.
If this let us speed and my invention thrive, admit the base shall top the legitimate. I grow, I prosper. Now God stand up the bastard.
Neon lights under the table, fog machines are telling fables. I am dancing alone, and I can keep on dancing alone. So I just Christmas tree, a dirty mattress, techno beats are awful blasting. I am dancing alone, and I can keep on dancing alone. 'Cause I am just a freak in this fucked up scene. I'm just a freak in this fucked up scene, this sad girl's dance party. What will the neighbors say when they hear the son is gay? Daughter's a meth addict, mom's drunk and sick of it. Daddy got paid today, but be mommy anyway. What will the neighbors say? Oh. Wife get beat and love it, and they let it happen because it gives them better conversation with the shrink. Dads are short and tempers just to match the shorter members, but it's still met with the Cosmo and a wink. Oh, 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 feel them peering through the dirty blinds, and no, oh, oh, just hoping they will never find it. No, oh, oh, written into what I did last night, and no, oh, oh, this perfect family's all a lie, the product of a great disguise, and in the end, the art of life. What will the neighbors say when they hear the son is gay? Daughter's a meth addict, mom's drunk and sick of it. Daddy got paid today, but be mommy anyway. What will the neighbors say? Oh. Son is skipping school again to make up for it. Like a friends, the Christians aren't so keen on boys with boys. Daughter's in the bathroom just to make the time go faster with the bumping flash that's filled with daddy's gin. Oh, 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 feel them peering through the dirty blinds, and no, oh, oh, just hoping they will never find it. No, oh, oh, remnants of what I did last night, and no, oh, oh, this perfect family's all a lie, the product of a great disguise, and what will the neighbors say when they hear the son is gay? Daughter's a meth addict, mom's drunk and sick of it. Daddy got paid today, but be mommy anyway. What will the neighbors say? Oh. I'm just not good at this stuff, but I am told that I must be tough and lie about the thing that I am. It's such a selfish plight. Mom needs me to be the man, 'cause dad is doing all that he can. A lie she tells herself every night, right when the pills kick in. What will the neighbors say when they hear the son is gay? Daughter's a meth addict, mom's drunk and sick of it. Daddy got paid today, but beat mommy anyway. What will the neighbors say? Oh, what will the neighbors say when they hear the son is gay? Daughter's a meth addict, mom's drunk and sick of it. Daddy got paid today, but beat mommy anyway. What will the neighbors say? Oh, everybody! Neighbors say when they hear the son is gay. Daughter's a meth addict, mom's drunk and sick of it. Daddy got paid today, but beat mommy anyway. What will the neighbors say? Oh, weeping's for willow trees. Real men stay off their knees in redneck uniform. They kill the animals for sport. Oh, drink the communion wine, eat up the bread divine, and pray your sins away, or else the demons come to play. Oh, what will the neighbors say when they hear the son